on here on EPARTRADE Industry Week. We're just so excited about the sport of drag racing, Linda. And he said it. You have seen all the great moments. You have been there for so many across motorsports. You're a Hall of Famer in all of the Hall of Fames. Most recently, the Lions put you in their Hall of Fame 2023. So congratulations on all of that. Most
Thank
importantly,
you.
though, you look great. Your health, and you're still out there. We just talked to Force, still out there. Must love it.
Well, it's in our blood. We don't do drugs, we do racing. And there's nothing like the smell, the taste, the feel, the earth shattering. I'm telling you. And I'm so glad that he explained how he feels about drag racing, because one of the first few times that he came out to the U.S. Nationals was to see Schumacher. And I told Tony, I said, he's going to love this. I guarantee you he's going to get hooked. And then, of course, when he met his future wife, which is now his wife, the whole world started chiming, because I just thought that was a couple made in heaven. I even went to their wedding. It was fabulous. But to be a part of watching him grow up and growing up with him, and now her, and what we're doing in NHRA, the first drag race I ever went to see Big Daddy Don Gartley's run. So I go way back. I was just a kid.
Yeah, well, and that story, the Leah Tony story, and I personally sometimes get a little tripped up on these things because private stuff is private stuff, right? But at the same time, when Don the Snake is introducing them, and
Yeah.
like there's all these, like, the fans would love to know this stuff
Well,
because
absolutely. It's a
it's a great
story.
racing romance.
It is a racing romance. I had one of those once. I married a drag racer. I know how he feels. But him partaking, I think his answers about not running against her was precious, because I hope that he just sticks where he is and continues. Look at the people he has brought and the sponsorship he has brought into NHRA since he's formed the Stewart Racing. I think it's outstanding. And I knew this would happen. And our base of fans have grown tremendously. Everywhere I go, everybody's asking me questions about it. And I really love that.
Wow. Well, okay, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I want to see him run Top Fuel somewhere at some point. I
Well,
mean, he
he's
doesn't have
already
to
ran it a time or two.
but I mean, in competition, just for the it's selfish. The media story, I would be giant. Tony Stewart runs the U.S. Nationals one time, something like that. Like, I would love to see that, but at the same time, he does elevate the Lucas Oil Series top alcohol dragster and top alcohol fun car
Absolutely.
categories. People are like, what do you mean Tony Stewart is content and happy and loves racing in these classes that are somewhat, unfortunately, overshadowed by the 330-mile-per-hour nitro cars?
Well, I think that what he has accomplished in his whole racing career, each step of the way, he's been a champion. And when he does put his mind to do something, he is a champion. He's already won his top alcohol and just the things that he's doing. But I think by him standing with her, and of course, now when she gets pregnant, 8 months pregnant, he has to run that dragster. I'm going to be standing right there watching.
As says Miss First Linda Vaughn,
Just
Hall
thought
of
I'd throw
Famer,
that out.
racing goddess. How's life for you, Linda?
Oh, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I have some good doctors. As y'all know, I've had some heart issues. Of course, I've had a few broken hearts along the way, but being put in the Motorsports Hall of Fame at Lions was so fabulous. And Force was there, and Youngblood, and so all these great people. Snake. It was just a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I took Judy with me. She came with me. The dinner was great. The food was wonderful, but the museum's outstanding. And I really suggest everybody, when you're out here in Southern California, please come to the Lions. I call it the Lions drag strip. We call it because they have a Lions drag strip on the inside, but it's something for the entire family. And in fact, I was talking to Mr. Rick last night. He is the CEO, and we're putting together some youth programs with Spark, and we're trying to get more of the colleges and the young people out there, because you can go on sparkamerica.org and look, and we're trying to place people when they're out of school or when they're through with their classes and want to get into the motorsports work. We're trying to encourage that more. So what we're taking is the past and presenting it with the future of America as our youth. And that's what I'm trying to do. So
Well,
I've been working real hard on it with Christy Edelbrock. She was our first founder that brought the money to us at the Hall of Fame down in Daytona, and she presented us with a $150,000 check to get it started. And we're on our way. We're hoping we'll get more sponsorship. And say, I like, for instance, I was the only girl in shop class. I took shop class. And my mother goes, what are you doing taking a shop class? I said, Mother, I'm the only girl. I said, I'm going to learn all about these cars. And I did. And look at me now. 60 years later, I am still working in this business. And I love it. There's no age limit to this business, Joe, because it's like music. It's good music. It lasts forever. So that's what we're trying to do with our motorsports. We want to try to better it and the future and getting to the youth groups like at PRI. I'm looking forward to talking to a lot of the school people that are coming in there so we can get them more involved. Where will they go when they graduate college? Where will they go? For instance, I just took Mike Coughlin's son. He gave me his resume. We got him involved. He wants to be involved with maybe the Penske group and IndyCar racing, and he's well qualified. And we're very impressed with him. Right now, he's at M1 in Detroit. So I think these stepping stones are going to help the kids to get where they want to go, because a lot of people can't get jobs when they get out of school. But with taking this initiative, I think we can do real well with it. And I'll be calling on Tony. We need sponsorship. I want to get.
I like what you said, though. It's like music and people, motorsports. It's hard for someone outside of it to grasp the community aspect, but also it's a camaraderie based on being driven, right? This hard work and intensity, competition, like being driven. Everybody in this sport is driven, or you are out of here very fast. Like, what do you mean I've got to work until 2 a.m. and then be back at 6 a.m.? Well, that's it's the sport.
Well, it's a tough business, as we all know, that's involved in it. I mean, look at you. You worked so hard. I really commend your work during the Indy. My God, I don't know how you kept up with all those hours, Joe, but it's our passion. It's our love. I have a love affair with this industry and sport. I absolutely do. Hot Rod did a magazine article on me years ago, and it says I'm married to racing, which I am. I've loved it, and I still love it, and I think I can add to it, and hopefully we can take it into the future, and we can rebuild some of the parts that need rebuilding. But I go with drag racing, honey. It's exciting, and first race I ever went to in my whole life was a drag race.
Amazing. But with respect, and I hope everyone who's watching right now understands that, like we've had Ralph on, we've had everybody on, and they all have. Ralph spent a lot of time in drag racing.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone kind of, there's a Venn diagram of motorsports, and there's a lot of overlapping that happens. And maybe the largest percentage of my diagram is drag racing, but I've spent some time in NASCAR, IndyCar, and otherwise, and I love it all. It's the same driven and intense person.
But maybe my first job was in NASCAR as Miss Firebird, and I don't forget where I come from. Sometimes I just don't know where I'm going.
Well, on that note, though, and that's where I was going, in that I don't think anyone has seen more of all of it than you have. You've been at all the big events across all versions,
all over the world.
All over the world. So what I would love for you to do, if you can, is, reflect a little bit on motorsport of the past. We see all these great films and videos, and they look great, but you think, the fans at home didn't get to know the result very often days or weeks later. Now we have live streaming from local racetracks. They can watch their friend. It's so different. Maybe, I think it's better, but some argue that it was better in the golden era back then, when you didn't find out results for 2 weeks. talk a little bit about the
It
evolution.
used to drive me crazy not being able to find out who won in 2 weeks. That really, and now, like let's say, we got a great future. You can find out just about everything as it happens with the streaming, as it happens. But it was very difficult, especially when I was doing the Formula One racing, to try to find out what happened at the NASCAR race and the drag race while I was over the pond, I would call it. And I had the great fortunate, I got to work with Mario Andretti, and we won the championship and brought it back to America. And we just, it's just absolutely fabulous. I'm glad I did it. And in fact, Mario bought a car yesterday from a friend of mine, bought him a Camaro from my friend's place down where I have the Hearst Haven show every year, and at Skyway Motors. And I keep up with him. We stay in touch with each other. But, you know, he went to NASCAR. He ran NASCAR and he won Daytona. And he used to come out to Englishtown to the drag races. There again, Tony Stewart, all the same thing. And Forrest, I see Forrest kiss my hand at the Indy 500 parade this year. It was just amazing how everything is involved now, where you can get all the information. And my sister goes, I saw Forrest kissing your hand. And I had no idea. Of course, she had it on television streaming, so she got to see it. So I think the future's wide open for the youth group to learn what we didn't get to learn for a couple of weeks at a time. I love it all. When I was Miss Firebird, getting to work with a pure oil company, and it became Union 76, and then in 66 I started with Hearst. A lot of folks write to me and want to know when I did start with Hearst in 1966. At the first U.S. Nationals I went to, I've been hooked ever since, because that was the biggest drag race I'd ever seen in my life. Because I'd only been down to Calhoun Paradise Drag Strip or Brainerd drag strip up in Chattanooga to see Big Daddy run. So I got a great education. George Hearst was wonderful, wonderful man to work for, great product. And the original equipment still exists, and I love that.
Amazing.
And you know, I had to work with the manufacturers, Joe, because when we keep it in-house and bring it back to America for American cars, I really do push our quality and our products made then, and let's make them again now. And that's why I love Seaman, PRI, and EPARTRADE, and everything that we're doing is to give the education and keep our future going. I don't think we have to depend on across the pond to make our parts. I think it's time to bring work back to America. And I really do push it. I'm all American, honey, all American.
No, I know. And export as well, which I believe that trend is happening. And I think, you know, things that, you know, came out of the pandemic. We had Rhodey on earlier during the pandemic. He dreamed up his boat series. You know, Tony referenced it, Matt referenced it, everyone referenced it, how you know, there's a saying, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And I think that a lot of people and a lot of businesses are reflecting and doing what they've got to do to get stronger.
I sure hope we do pick it up. And I've always been for the little man, the little speed shop, the little guy down the street that made a part that, say, for instance, Warren Johnson made something and we sold it back to Oldsmobile. Those are the things that I just love working with Tony and Pontiac, when we had some Pontiac things that we made for Tony, and then we sold it back to Pontiac for better equipment. And, you know, most of our test drivers were drag racers. That's one thing a lot of people didn't realize. But if you could get a kludge to work real well at the drag strip, then you can darn sure put it in that street machine, and you can make sure it's safe. So I think we need to go back to basics again.
So I agree. So I want to ask you, like, you know, this is just so vague, right? But like, you've got a billion stories about a billion people, and they're all interesting. And, you know, like, where do I start on that? Right. Like, you know, events, live events that you've been to, that you experienced, that stick out in your mind from the past, like something that in the moment you thought, this is the best thing I've ever done. And of course, after that, you maybe went on to something bigger and better. But at the time that you walked away going, wow, it was a great experience.
Well, there was 3 of them. My first Daytona 500. Oh my goodness. My mother made me this red feathered outfit. I was Miss Firebird, freezing ass cold. I thought I was going to die that day. But the passion that was in that parade lap, and everybody hanging on the fence and hollering my name. I was like, oh my God, they already know me. I mean, that was my first trip around Daytona, and they're going, Linda, and it was just awesome. And then I met George Hurst and Wally Parks, and they both offered me jobs, but they were running a contest. And I told Mr. Wally, I said, I think I'm going to enter this Hurst contest, because there's something about the first Hurst shifter I ever bought. I paid $5 down and $5 a week in honest Charlie's Speed Shop for my boyfriend's 57 Chevrolet, because he couldn't drive it worth a hoot and I could. So that started a love affair with the aftermarket business. And I bought a Edelbrock manifold, a Schaefer clutch. Her shifter was the first thing I bought, but then that got me involved in that part. And then the first time at the Indy 500, oh my goodness, by then my mother's riding shotgun, James Garner's driving the pace car, and George Hurst and Jack Duffy. And when we go around and there's 500,000 people there, well, that was the most excruciating passion I think I've ever experienced. I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or pee pee in my pants, because it was awesome. Oh, my mother kept turning around looking at me, and I'd throw her a kiss, but it was the most incredible parade lap of my life. And then, of course, we went to the U.S. Nationals, and I would stop on the starting line and kiss Buster Couch, because Buster's a Georgia boy, and girl, I'm a Georgia girl. So that became part of the parade pageantry, and it was wonderful. And we'd go down the middle of the track, we'd come back up the return road. Well, that trip up the return road, there was nothing like it, because I had to reach out and touch the fence. So those are the three greatest parades of my life. Absolutely, was incredible. And then years later, I did the Macy's parade. I froze to death in that on the float with Mario. There again was a great time in my life. The Indy 500 parade downtown was fabulous. So getting to do those things have stood out in my mind. But I've never, ever been so loved and appreciated as those three events. It hooked me. I was good.
That's
Sold a lot of
incredible.
shifters too.
Well, exactly. The marketing of it is part of the lore of our sport. Okay, next one.
Yes.
Motorsport is full of colorful characters. These people don't get to the highest level of this hardworking, driven sport without sometimes making their own rules, doing it their own way, colorful characters. And since you started the three trend, give me your top three most interesting and colorful characters that you've interacted with, worked with, and engaged with over your career.
Oh my God, we have all day.
And well, it's tough, like, hey, we're
Well,
hanging
we
out with
gotta
Linda
say
Vaughn.
John Force. I mean, John Force is one of the most colorful characters I've ever met in my life. And I think he's so good for the sport. And I just knew he was going to be a star. The first time I ever heard him talk, and we were at an event, and he goes, Linda, I need your help. John, don't need my help anymore. Thank you, John, for saying that. But you know what? I knew you were going to be a superstar and a heck of a drag racer. He was one that stands out in my mind. Of course, the first driver I ever had a crush on was Fred Lorenzen down at NASCAR, and he won the race, and I got to kiss a Yankee. My picture was in the paper. My daddy said, you kissed a damn Yankee? I go, yes, Daddy, I did. But that was a whole other ballgame, because I was from Georgia. They were still fighting the war. I'm telling you, he was a Yankee boy, but that was quite a promotion that year. The next 2 years, they kept saying the blonde haired lad and lass and all that, but that was fun. But Mario has just been the most tremendous gentleman, and getting to be in Victory Circle with Mario and knowing his family and his wife, Deanne, and all the kids, and now all the grandkids. He's one of my most precious pride possessions of my life. I love him dearly. And then, like RP, Mr. Richard Petty the King, they'd call him the king and me the queen, and we'd work events. So these people are just the most wonderful, wonderful people. Even James Garner asked me, who's your favorite driver? And I go, you got all day. I cannot just say one favorite driver, because in each category, I do have my favorites, and those are some of them. And the little guy down the road, Warren Johnson, great pro stock driver, used to build all kind of parts for us. John Weeby, I mean, I could go on, McEwen, Snake, what great characters. And they're a part of my life. It's just been wonderful. I think I want to do comic books on all of them. I think it would be a bestseller.
Nobody would believe it though. Like that's the thing is these
Well, then there's the
characters.
movie stars. There's Paul Newman and James Garner, of course. He drove race cars, and Marty Robbins, and then I'm into rock and roll. I got a few rock and roll singers, and I was into football. I got a lot of players I loved and enjoyed going to the games and still do. I'm a sports person. I love it. And my dog watches the games with me because no girlfriends of mine want to watch the football games. So I watch my football games. I still have my favorites.
There you go.
I like the sport. I really do.
People in the chat section are amazed by your total recall memory. Do you know that you like have a like some people don't remember anything? It's unfortunate, but I'm one of them. Like after the event, I kind of forget everything that happened at the event. It's very sad. I need to write it down. You remember everything.
I've been so blessed. I think the good Lord has put me here to do what I have done and what I'm still doing. I just think that that's my job. I really do. And I love it. When you love something, you have the passion for it. It carries you a long way. It got me well from my heart to operations. The fans were so wonderful. I just never had so much love given to me. It was great.
All right, up and coming, the future. You mentioned Leah. Leah, we can't say Leah because we all love Leah, and Leah's what happened with her this year was incredible.
Oh,
And
what a woman, what a racer.
Doug Coletta winning.
Yeah, Doug, I was real proud of Doug.
It's you know the racing gods, right? Like Doug has to win this one. He can't finish second 7 times. You're going to do this to this man. That would be cruel, racing gods, and that's the situation. But Leah is a rock star. We already know that.
Yes.
Of the future, future stars. Like who do you notice? Who do you think?
Well, Leah's a hell of a race driver, and she is a very good sport. When she came over there and shook his hand after he won, that's the way to do it. I'm real proud of her. I wrote her and told her, I said, you're one of the best racers, Leah. I'm so proud of what you've done, and her come back this year. I mean, from the accidents, the things that she's gone through, and she was hardworking. I never seen anybody work so hard as she has this past year. And I commend her. I really, really, really do. I'm very proud of her. Very proud. And the fans love her too. And she's beautiful and easy on the eyes.
Never hurts. That's never bad.
And I'm not jealous of her. That's what's so good, because she and I understand each other. We love Tony. I love Tony like he's my kid or my brother or I just love him. I watched him grow up. I used to watch him when he was 4 years old in those little midget cars, those little cars against Jeff Gordon and Newman. Those little guys, I said, look at those guys. I told AJ one night, I said, they're going to kick your butt, AJ. And they did. The only thing I regret, Tony didn't get to win Indy 500. And that's the one thing I really wanted to see. But he's won everything else, though, I'll tell you. And I think the couple made in heaven, I think it's been the best thing for our sport. And I think when AJ married Lucy and when Mario married Deanne, I think these great women are behind these great men.
Has to be, right? I believe it was Martha Washington who said that, speaking of our country.
I'm not quite that old.
No, nobody is. Ellen is out there, says, ask Linda how she designed the unique fashion gear. What about it?
My mother. We would take newspapers and we'd cut out patterns, because I'm a little big at the top, a little small at the bottom, and I couldn't buy anything off the rack. So mother goes, well, make it. So I'd go in, I'd get material. One of Patty Foster's sponsors had a business in North Carolina. They made material, so they gave me 100,000 yards of material. So we'd make all the costumes for myself, Miss Hurst, and the Hurstettes. My mother was a great seamstress, and I got her a job with George. George paid her to make our uniforms, and we'd come up with some of the designs. But the one with the fishing net that I wore at the U.S. Nationals, we actually went to a place in Florida and bought fishing net, and then mother took this gold lame, made it like a bikini, and then filled it all full of fishing net. Looked like a nude fishing net bikini. I mean, it was the darndest outfit I'd ever seen, but boy, was that a popular outfit. And we try to come up with unique things to keep the sport going. I remember when NHRA had the bed sheets. I had a set of bed sheets and it had dragsters on it. I pulled them off the bed and I cut the dragsters out. and we appliqued it to the white, beautiful material. And I had a top fuel dragster over on this side, and I had a funny car running over my shoulder. And in the back, I had another out of those bed sheets, and they were popular. So then I had to buy up all the bed sheets. In fact, Lee Butera has one of my bed sheets, and she hasn't made me anything yet.
Okay.
So you didn't finish that. But those are the things that we tried to do to stay in style. It was hard to fit all these girls, from June Cochran, she was 4'9", to Shelley, 6'2". But my mom did it, and we work out in the country out at her house, and we'd cut out all the patterns. And once we got the pattern that would fit our busts and our hips and so forth, she'd pretty well put it together, and then we'd come in for a fit-in. And that's how we would do it. We'd go and see her after the races, and we'd start on the next uniform. So she was a big, big part of my life. I miss her terribly, but she was the one responsible. She stood me up on the table. We're getting ready for the U.S. Nationals. She goes, do your bow. So I do my bow. She goes, oh, let's cut that a little shorter. So she made it a little bit shorter. Buster approved.
Good idea. Definitely a good idea. Ford is out there in the chat section. For anyone who is a fan of drag racing, you've touched everyone's hearts, Linda, today. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Christy Edelbrock is out there. She says, and this is a serious question. Let's end on this because, okay, your passion is clear. Tony's passion is clear. Leah, and everyone we've spoken with, Hartford, we've got it already. Christy wants to know, how do we get the next generation as passionate about motorsport? What do you think?
Well, we're working on it, Christy, thanks to you coming on board with us and the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America, get Fire Built Under George, and get NHRA, NASCAR, IndyCar, all involved with the youth market, and let's go back to school. Where is the shop class in our schools? Go back to the teachers. We don't have anyone teaching this in our schools right now. So we need to really pursue it and get the education so we can help America, because it's going to make America grow again. And I think it's going to make us really successful, such as Christy Edelbrock has the passion for this industry and still does. She and I walked the SEMA show over to my Hearst booth and over to her Edelbrock booth. And we were shocked. There was hardly any product. There was no product at SEMA of Hearst. And I was devastated. And I walked in and I said, why don't y'all buy the name, the brand name, if you're not going to have a catalog and a shifter for these people to see, to shift, to touch, and to tell them it will work in this next generation. So we got to educate them. That's exactly what we got to do, Christy. We got to educate them.
Linda was just inducted into the Lions Autobilia Foundation Hall of Fame. And if you ever get a chance to go there, Kenny Youngblood has done a whole rendering of Lions Dragway that is amazing. You can see it online.
It's wonderful.
Kenny's such a talent, and so many wonderful, talented people in the sport. And I'm proud that we're trying real hard to keep it going and live up to the reputation that you guys have put forth.
We're very proud of you, Joe, being a part of it, because you got the passion. I love it when you interview me. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Bonjour, monsieur.
What? Bonjour, Linda. Thank you. That was great. Wonderful. I mean, what a treat. So,
and
registering on EPARTRADE is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to EPARTRADE.